Welcome to This Week in Wrestling History.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the internet's first and only podcast game show about Civil War dirt. Today's topic is Pennsylvania Loam. Here's your host, Paco Gramdenberg.
I don't even know what that dirt. There's different kinds of dirt.
I don't know. You apparently think that I think a lot more about these than I do.
That one was pretty good.
Thank you.
That one was pretty good.
All right, the Wrestling History Podcast, Ryan, Jacob, being dumb off the start as always.
We should start making T-shirts of all of these.
We would go broke trying to design them.
Fake, just the fake names on
Just
the back of them.
Oh, just all crossed out. Yeah, that might be a thing. All right, what do we got up this week?
So I guess we're kind of ending the summer of SummerSlams.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of go out on a decent note.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. SummerSlam 1994.
Yeah, I've honestly never been a big SummerSlam guy. I've always thought it's a kind of a weird It's like a throwaway main pay-per-view.
Yeah, back then I would get that like in 1994. That's
so
understandable.
Right, very early on, and I think that thing never really left me because
I mean now they make such a big deal out of SummerSlam. Like,
yeah,
everybody talks about it like it's the slightly dumbed down WrestleMania.
Right, that's where it ended up. Originally, though, it always kind of felt a little bit more like, well, we just got to get through the summer, so here's a thing.
Yeah.
Because, going back to last year when we reviewed the SummerSlam 91 that had, it had Brett versus Perfect, but the main event was Hogan and Warrior versus Sergeant Slaughter and his Iraqi Brigade.
Yeah.
Which, doesn't involve the title whatsoever. So it was kind of like, here's a weird carryover non-title program for the summer to deal with. Have fun, everyone.
Well, the other thing too, I think, is that as they started to get on with the later years, when a working champion started to show up, like Brett we'll get to later.
Yep.
Dude could actually work every night.
Yeah, could have a program and not be overexposed by being on too many shows.
Right. So I think we're starting to get to the point where the title's going to be at the top or the main event of every single pay-per-view now.
Right, and we were definitely kind of transitioning more into that era of things. Honestly, we were kind of in a era where it was not too highly regarded by the general populace, but I think some of the more hardcore fans enjoy, not hardcore wrestling fans, not hardcore wrestling fans. Does that make sense?
True wrestling fans.
Yeah, but not barbed wire fans.
The marks.
Right, there you go, the marks. Because it was a lot of the smaller, more technical guys, because we're kind of ending the Hogan era of things and shifting, not full-blown into the Attitude Era. We still had some hokey things going on here and there, but we were starting to come out of like all of the job-based wrestlers, at least.
Yeah, away from the job-based wrestlers and starting. This to me is kind of the start of these, like you were saying, the smaller guys.
Right.
There's still the big ass dudes that Vince always swoons over.
Right. Vince still had his body type and everything, but again, Brett was champion here, so it was definitely going more towards the working direction.
Yeah.
All right. So, first matchup, we have the Chunky Usos versus Money Inc., and Money Inc. is going to be a recurring theme in this.
They're not the Chunky Usos. There's the Head Shrinkers.
They're the Chunky Usos.
Well, because I made a comment that Fatu, which is Rikishi's, ends up being Rikishi, but that's also their real last name.
Yes.
Rikishi younger looks like a bigger version of the Usos.
Right. So
like when he looked at the camera at one point, I was like, "Holy shit, it's Jimmy!"
Yeah, you're not wrong. So it's Money Inc. is a stable that Ted DiBiase was building up. It has Bam Bam Bigelow. It has Erwin R. Shyster. Has the fake Undertaker.
Yep.
I think it had a few more people kind of tangentially related. We will see a new member added later on this evening to Money Inc. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this stable somewhere else because it's such a B-tier stable.
It's the Dungeon of Doom.
No, but the Dungeon of Doom was at least in the main event and stuff.
Well, I mean,
We're not counting fake Undertaker. That's because fake Undertaker's about to go away hard.
Yeah,
which was apparently not the plan originally.
I don't know. They're like Latino World Order.
That's not a bad one. Yeah, the LWO.
They have some really good wrestlers, but they don't do much.
They were just kind of there to be like the undercard bosses.
Yeah.
They're Balrog from Street Fighter. Like, I guess this is a boss, but only because you're telling me it is.
Right.
Nothing about this really says Bam Bam. He was by far probably the best part of that faction, and even that wasn't too high of a...
Well, I mean, DiBiase, but he at this point is hardly wrestling.
No, he was not wrestling at all at this point, yeah.
He was solely doing the...
managerial role, yeah.
Did he stop because of an injury at this point?
I think so, but don't quote me on it. I'm almost positive it was an injury-related thing. So, yeah, it's the tag team of Erwin R. Shyster and Bam Bam Bigelow, a.k.a. Papa Wyatt and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yep.
It's so weird to think that his kid is Bray Wyatt.
No. IRS is Bray Wyatt's son, not Bam Bam.
That's what I meant. That IRS is Bray Wyatt's dad.
Yeah, but you were saying Papa Bam Bam Bigelow.
No, I said Papa Bray.
Right, but you kept saying Bam Bam.
Oh, no. No, IRS is.
Yeah, especially because from IRS before that, he was also just Mike Rotunda, Syracuse wrestler guy.
Yeah, exactly. There is nothing about him that goes, I'm going to screw my kid up and create this thing.
I'm whatever.
No,
like, it's working.
Yep, I'm like, cool. Let's go with it.
If only Bo could get a little better.
Bo almost kind of did go in that direction a little bit as like sinister positivity motivational speaker.
Yeah, it just didn't work out as well.
They didn't commit to it. No one really bought in, and they didn't really drive with it, so end up with nothing. Anyways, this match on a whole was a serviceable opener.
I mean, it was your stereotypical tag match.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a good tag match. Head Shrinkers end up losing via DQ because DiBiase gets involved, and the Head Shrinkers manager gets involved, and the ref turns around in time to see the Head Shrinkers manager get involved and DQ
Captain Lou.
Well, it was Captain Lou and Afa.
Yes. And it was because DiBiase or somebody ends up hitting Captain Lou. Afa gets pissed and comes in and headbutts him. And then we get a bunch of Samoan headbutts.
Yeah, and a bunch of shenanigans here and there. It was a non-finish to this whole thing. I guess it was just to give Money Inc. the win so they could keep up their heel heat through the show.
Yeah.
Without the Head Shrinkers losing, because I felt like they were still trying to make the Head Shrinkers a thing here. They just had a face turn, so.
And they just lost the belts. So I think they were trying to rebound a little bit.
They had lost the belts the night before to Shawn and Diesel.
Yep.
At a house show, which was really weird. I forget why they did that, but. So.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a tag team title match, and it ended up becoming a non-title match. But yeah, it was fine. It wasn't spectacular, but it was fine. It was good. Right. Next up was a match that I liked more than you did. Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano.
So, I've seen a lot of Bull's stuff. And I enjoy watching her.
She's really good, and this was her first match in the U.S. Well, at least her first match in WWE.
She, to me, is the epitome of Japanese women's wrestling.
Yes.
And also kind of more towards what women's wrestling could have been through the 90s.
Yeah. So, honestly, I'm sure this comparison's been made a million times, and I'm not whatever original. She reminded me of a female Vader.
Yes.
but even more athletic than Vader.
She was moving around a lot quicker than Vader, and she was a lot crisper than Vader.
Right. The downside, and why I think you didn't care for this match as much, was her chemistry with Medusa / Alundra Blaze wasn't great during this match. I think it was really one of their first times being in the ring together. And for that, it was good, but both women have had better matches, and there was everything always just seemed a little bit of a half step off.
Yeah, the match just didn't grab me at any point. Like, I liked watching Bull, but there was nothing that made me say, like, this is going to be the crowning women's match of the 90s.
That's fair, and yeah, on that point, you're definitely right. The match in and of itself, it felt like it just lacked a something, and that everything was just a little bit off. I wanted to like it more than I did, I think, and Bull's entrance, she came out looking super impressive, super imposing. She has a great look because she's definitely bigger, but not like you can't do anything size big.
Right. The other thing, too, is I think because this was her first match in the U.S., still kind of getting used to the WWE style kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
I know their chemistry gets better because they have a pretty long-running feud for a while.
It's almost a year long.
I know Bull ends up getting the belt at some point.
Yep, Bull takes the belt off of her for about, I want to say 3 to 5 months, somewhere in that range.
It was something like 150, 180 days or something like that.
It was a decent reign.
And from what I've heard, I haven't seen that match specifically. From what I've heard is that match is actually pretty decent.
Right. The biggest downfall here is there was nowhere for either of these women to go except to keep clashing with each other, because at this point in time, the women's division was Alundra Blaze and a monster heel.
Yeah.
It was Alundra Blaze against Luna Vachon. And then when we were done with that, Luna goes and gets Bull Nakano. Then after Bull Nakano, we get Bertha Faye. And then we're done. Then that's it for women's wrestling until
98.
Yep. Because someone drops the title belt in the garbage can next year on Nitro. Oops.
I mean, honestly, women's wrestling has come quite a long way, but I think it was a lot closer to what it is now in 1994 than it was throughout all of the 90s. Or the rest of the 90s.
Rest of the 90s, definitely. Yeah, it definitely, WWF took a step backwards by a huge step backwards.
WCW, there wasn't really a whole lot because, I mean, when Alundra Blaze goes over there to become Medusa, she's the only woman.
Right. They bring in one other female challenger for her ever, and that was it. Honestly, yeah, it feels like women's mainstream wrestling in WWE did not recover until the NXT call-ups started happening.
Yeah, exactly.
There were a few bright spots here and there. Trish, Lita's first go-around.
Yep.
Beth Phoenix, Mickie James, Gail Kim a little bit. They didn't really let her off the leash like they should have.
No, she did much better for herself in Impact.
Yeah.
And Impact Wrestling through the mid-2000s, late 2000s, was significantly better than... Honestly, there was some points where it was better than what WWE's doing now, but...
Yeah. So, overall, not the best showing from these two, but I really liked it because, I don't know, at least hinted that these two could really put on a great match, and like you said, it was better than most of the stuff you got later in the 90s and up until like 2010, 11 in general.
Very true.
Because all of those talented women we mentioned rarely were in the ring together. You had it intermixed with Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, who they were very athletic. They weren't great wrestlers, though.
Right. And I mean, then when you hit the 2010s, you have Michelle McCool and Layla, who, again, super athletic.
Right.
But
I don't want to take away anything from these women as far as being good athletes. It's just they were not capable of putting a good match together on the fly. Like, I think a lot of...
They weren't on the wrestling IQ level as, let's say, an Asuka.
Right. They were out there. They were trying, but
for what they had, they did great.
Yes, about to say they were also not given a whole lot of opportunity. They had to go out there and fight for the little bit they did get
for the 3-minute matches with
So,
Lawler yelling puppies the entire time.
Exactly. And I mean, even the Bellas eventually, you could see they were trying to figure it out.
Right.
Nikki more so than Brie, but they tried, and give them credit for that. They unfortunately just didn't hit, and it was not entirely their fault. It was definitely more. It was more on the company than them. I don't know if there's much they could have done, but is what it is.
Right.
We forgot to mention, intermixed between all of the matches was Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun movies, lurking around the backstage area trying to get to the bottom of this whole second Undertaker thing. And it was garbage.
Yeah, WWE's super attempt at trying to recreate what they did with Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, like their attempts to bring in mainstream people during this point in time were misguided at best, horrifically painful most of the time, though.
Yes, very much so.
So, all right. Moving back onto the show, coming up next, we had... now we had something. We had Razor Ramon with Sweetness, a.k.a. Walter Payton. I don't know why they call him Sweetness, but they do.
I don't know either.
They call him Sweetness a lot. A whole lot. They always refer to him as Sweetness.
An alarming amount.
Yeah, I don't know why. So this was a weird point in time where Razor Ramon was a face at this point. That was an odd thing.
Which is funny because he still didn't work really like a face.
No.
The only things he really had that were face-ish were his, comebacks at points.
Right, the only difference between Razor Ramon as a face and a heel is who you're putting him against.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was going up against his outsider partner, Diesel. So, yeah, you had Scott Hall versus Kevin Nash.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a hoss-off.
Yeah, but they sold for each other, too.
It was a good match.
Yeah, so this was kind of peak Click era.
Yeah.
And it was really about to go into overdrive in the fall of this year. But, yeah, we had Razor facing off against Diesel. Diesel is the IC champ.
And also the tag champ.
Oh, yeah. So they were dual champs. Shawn and Diesel were tag champs. Diesel was also IC champ.
Yep.
This was for the IC belt. Shawn was out there and that's why Sweetness was out there, was to counteract Shawn Michaels.
A lot of this match, though, was a lot of those really heavy hits and, big, not really big spots, but, big moves.
Right. Neither of these guys are known for being spot monkeys.
Right.
It was just a big, heavy-hitting match between two giant guys because they're both big as Diesel. Razor, no one ever thinks of Scott... No one ever thinks of Scott Hall for being as big as he is.
Yeah, because he's always standing next to Kevin Nash.
Right, he's always next to Nash. Scott Hall's like a legit 6'7".
Yeah, he at his peak would probably be able to stare Undertaker straight in the eyes.
No. He'd stare the fake Undertaker straight in the eyes. So that's actually a great comparison because the difference between Scott Hall and Kevin Nash actually is the difference between fake Undertaker and real Undertaker.
Yeah.
It's
6'7". He was billed at 6'9".
He was not 6'9".
He's actually 6'7".
Yes. Which is so bizarre because 6'7" is giant.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3", 6'4"-ish. He dwarfs me.
Yeah, and
that's so weird.
I mean, I'm 5'10", 5'11", ish.
Yeah.
That 6'7" standing next to me would be a child standing next to a normal
Right.
human.
Like, you're like, hi, daddy. You'd just be like, I'm an adult. This man makes me feel like a child. What is this?
Right.
But yeah, the thing is, yeah. Anyways, to make a long point, next to Kevin Nash, he doesn't look big, but he is. So
Yeah, I mean, but then you put him when they have the ladder match with him versus Shawn.
yeah,
He towers over Shawn.
right. Shawn was not a huge guy.
I'm pretty sure he was in the 5'10s.
I think he just hit 6 foot. I could be wrong, but I think he just hit 6 foot on that.
Or
But-
then on the flip side of things, you have him on the first Raw against 1-2-3 Kid.
Oh yeah,
X-Pac ain't big.
no X-Pac. Shawn is billed at 6'1".
He ain't 6'1".
I think I would give him 6 foot on a good day, but right. So overall, this match pretty solid. The fans were really into it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, this is still at the point where you want to see those big guys.
Right. And it's also the start of the face turn for Diesel.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a second. I actually want to rewind and say, so what'd you think of Diesel's entrance music?
It was the most obnoxious thing that I've ever heard.
The sound of an engine starting and stopping and a honking of an air horn.
Awful. There was. You can't call that entrance music. You can call that entrance sound effects.
It was entrance noise. The only kind of cool part about his entrance is in the little entryway they have, they put up 2 big spotlights right behind him.
Yeah, so it looks like a
headlights.
truck.
Yeah. But it's still kind of a cool look to see like someone coming backlit like that. It looks kind of menacing.
The other thing too is that as I was watching this match, I paused it and I went to go watch him in the 2011 Royal Rumble when he was a surprise entrant.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it's the same entrance noise, but they added a little guitar riff.
Oh, they had that
behind
when he
it.
turns face.
So much better. So much
I
better.
actually dislike it more. I don't like. It's like an awful what's the name of that twangy country guitar where a slide guitar?
Oh, see, no, the one in the 2011 was almost like a heavy riff. So,
I think it might still be the same, but it always gave me a weird country vibe, and
I don't know. It
Yeah,
was significantly better than just.
Yeah, it's just an engine starting and stopping. I don't get it.
It was funny too because as I was also watching this, another video popped up for when The Rock meets the NWO.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Made,
Big Daddy Cool. It completely makes fun of it. Because I was just about to say, technically, what was Diesel's gimmick? It started off as a bodyguard,
Yeah.
but with the truck noises and the name Diesel, was he a truck?
was he supposed to be a trucker?
Was he a transformer? Was he?
Yeah.
He was a truck that turned into a people.
Yeah.
Is that what happened here?
He's the OG Optimus Prime.
Yes, he's Optimus Prime. He turned into a truck, and that was his day job. He was a truck. He was not a trucker. He was the truck.
I mean, he's big enough to be a fucking truck.
Yeah. So the finish of the match sees Shawn try to interfere using the title. Walter Payton getting the belt, but that distracts the referee. Shawn dives in the ring, goes to superkick Razor, who's being held up by Diesel. Razor getting out of the way, and Diesel taking the superkick, and then then Shawn gets chased out by Walter Payton, and they're doing a couple laps around the ring. They're selling this superkick like Diesel just got shot in the head.
Yeah.
He's down for a good 20, 30 seconds before Razor crawls over and pins him.
Yeah. I mean, the early finger poke of doom, except it was an actual move.
Well, I'm about to say, better than the finger poke. They just sold this thing for Shawn because, well, he's their boy, so.
Yeah, and that's one thing that was kind of interesting is that you had earlier in the night the head shrinkers. You had the head shrinkers kind of hitting super kicks.
Yeah, they would call it a thrust kick or something.
Yeah, but they were
essentially super kicks.
But there was hardly any selling for it. Like they would
Right.
take it, guy would fall over, and then they'd roll over onto their stomach and try to stand back up.
Yeah, it really wasn't until Shawn started making it big that...
Then you have Shawn Michaels, who later in the night does the exact same move, and Diesel's head fell off of his body.
Exactly. So, well, it's one of those things that all kind of depends on who's doing it, because we just saw, so we have, again, to pull back the curtain a little bit, as we do, we have the SummerSlam on while we're doing the podcast, so we can kind of go through things. We're currently in the Alundra Blaze Bull Nakano match. Bull Nakano put a double leg Boston Crab on her with one arm. It was weird, but a Boston Crab was a finish back in the 80s, so now it's nothing. But then Chris Jericho gets it, and it's a finish again.
Or on top of that, also she hits a power bomb on Alundra, where it's Alundra running at her, and she picks her up and then just straight power bombs her.
Yeah, not a finish. So.
Not a finish here, but that's Diesel's move.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, going back to the super kicks, it's always a little bit weird when...
Well, and then flash forward to now, where literally everyone does a super kick.
Right, where...
I mean, look at it. Look at it on Raw and SmackDown now. You have Dolph, Kevin Owens, the Usos.
Yep.
Seth does his little side kick that's almost a super kick.
Yeah.
But he's still Seth tunes up the band for his stomp.
Seth should use the super kick because it's actually a cool, logical setup for the stomp.
Right.
So.
But yeah, you have a bunch of people using the super kick, and then you switch to the Indies and AEW, where there's literally super kick parties.
Yeah. So it actually reminds me of a lot of people complain about how the DDT used to be a finish, now it's just a transition move.
It's starting to become a finish again.
Which is good. It should
you have Andrade using the hammerlock, which is the hammerlock DDT, which is pretty solid.
Yep.
Alexa uses it now as one of her finishers.
Cool. Yeah, it's just one of those things where moves do kind of wax and wane at points where, everyone's using this now because it became cool for a while, and then, all right, and now it doesn't have any meaning anymore, which, to be fair, I think is just a natural cycle in this industry. I know I've heard Stone Cold complains about the DDT a lot, but that's the nature of this business, and almost any business. Things escalate, especially when we went from kind of the fat barroom brawler to an actual athlete.
Right.
Things escalate. Moves are going to get bigger, and there's going to be more flippy doos and more. There's just going to be more because people are capable of more. So things are going to go and evolve.
And to kind of put it also in a perspective for something that's more recent, look at the power bombs.
Yeah.
Diesel, Razor, kind of.
Yeah, ish. Crucifix bomb.
Yeah.
Razor's Edge, yeah.
Undertaker was using the last ride for a little while.
Yep.
Batista
Vader used the power bomb. Batista bomb.
But now we had Kevin Owens using a power bomb. And he's not even doing that anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
which is sad. Is my favorite move. I love the power bomb.
It's an easy move to do, and it looks
good.
devastating.
Yeah, it looks good. It just I don't know why I never got more of a thing.
I'd like to see
it's
Braun.
pretty safe.
I'd like to see Braun using it, although I do like his power slam.
Yeah, the power slam kind of makes sense for Braun, especially because he's such a big guy, not just a tall guy.
Right.
Like him, landing on you too seems like it'd be a thing. So, all right. So
we got sidetracked on moves. Let's flash.
Diesel
forward.
loses the IC belt.
Yep, to Razor.
This would start the problems between Diesel and Shawn. By Survivor Series, Diesel would actually get eliminated from a Survivor Series match by the same accident happening here. After that, he would start his face turn. I believe Survivor Series of this year is also where Brett loses the title to Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
And then I believe in either December or January is where Diesel beats Bob Backlund in 8 seconds in Madison Square Garden to become the new champ.
And Diesel holds it for a while, too. He holds it for like 400 days or something.
No, it's not that long, but he holds it through Mania.
I know one of his reigns that he had was disgustingly long.
It was probably like a solid 200 days or something, and was not over a year. I know that for sure. But yeah, this is definitely when this crowd is really starting to get behind Diesel just for being a big, cool guy. So
yeah,
his promo was before the match was awful, though. I gotta say,
he looked insane.
Yeah,
Like,
but it wasn't a good promo.
No, but like his face throughout the whole thing, he had like super crazy eyes going.
Yeah. It was weird because when they're the outsiders, they're very natural and just being themselves, and that comes off as cool, or it did at the time at least.
Right.
When he's sitting here trying to be Big Daddy cool, it's cringy and not good and weird and awkward.
Yeah.
So
his single reign was 358 days.
Damn.
Yep. He's only
wow. I'm shocked.
He only had the belt once, but it was for almost an entire year.
Well then, all right. Next up, we have Money Inc. getting involved again. You didn't watch this match, did you?
I watched some of it, purely because. So, one of my brother's favorite wrestlers was Scott Hall.
Okay.
As Razor.
Okay.
So that's why I made sure to watch this one. One of my sister's favorite during this time was Tatanka.
Huh.
She liked the gimmick.
Huh.
Yeah, so I
Interesting.
made sure to watch at least a little bit of this. Dude's got a killer Samoan drop.
Yes.
Like his Samoan drop looks fantastic.
He was really athletic, and he's still going. He still wrestles.
Yeah, he's wrestling on the indies, and when he came back to SmackDown,
yeah, he actually had a bit of a run for a secondary run
in like 2005 to 2007 or 8. He could still work in his. I mean, at that point, he was in his
40s.
Yeah,
because he's like 54 now. So
he's a good worker.
Yeah,
he's just not great on the mic.
Right. That's his biggest downfall was, he never quite got there to that level. So it's Tatanka versus Lex Luger. The background of this is Lex Luger's our good guy. He's made in the USA, Lex Luger. But $1 Million Man's been going around making this $1 million corporation thing, or Money Inc., and people have seen DiBiase coming out of Lex's dressing room. We think Lex is sold out. There was a poll of the fans somehow. I don't know how they did it because they weren't doing it on the internet. But they polled the fans, and the fans think that Lex sold out.
And him and Tatanka were supposed to be friends.
Yep, they're supposed to be buddies.
Training partners or something like that. And it was Tatanka was coming out to quote confront Lex to see if he sold out or not.
It's like, I think you sold out. Let's have a fight because I think you sold out.
Yeah.
So they have a fight. $1 Million Man comes out with his bag with a weird little gym bag full of money.
It was
a little pouch. wasn't even a full duffel bag.
No, it was like one of those where Ted DiBiase is a shady guy. He gets his money from shady places. Clearly, he stores it in shady places as well.
It was slightly larger than a fanny pack, but not by much, and I don't even know where I would go and get one of these bags if I wanted one. Because it was like if someone turned a gym bag into a purse.
Yeah.
That's like the best analogy I can give.
It would have made more sense if he came out with just like a duffel bag full of cash.
Right. And guess what, WWE? The full thing doesn't need to be full of cash. We don't need to see it all. We just need to see the cash sticking out of the top.
Right. Just put newspaper in it.
Yeah. Like stuff it full of whatever. Put a pillow in the damn thing. I don't care. But anyways, yeah, it looked it looked silly. It was such a little, it's just a little money pouch. It's like he was a little kid. He went to the store and mommy and daddy were like, okay, go buy, take it up to the register and pay for it.
Yep.
Here's your pouch. He was like, yeah, I'm going to go pay for this. I'm going to buy Lex. Yay. So, anyways, he comes out with a bag of money. Lex is like, what are you doing? Get out of here. I'm not. And then Tatanka blindsides him. And, God.
Tatanka rolls him up first.
Oh, that's right. Tatanka rolls him up. Gets the 3. He's like,
Then DiBiase comes into the ring
that's
and
right.
is like, "Come on, Lex, you know you want the money." And then Tatanka
blindsides him, puts him in the $1 Million Dream, and then just stomps the ever-loving crap out of him. And oh my God, it was a swerve the whole time.
Tatanka's really the bad guy.
The accuser was actually the one we should have accused.
Shocking.
Thanks, wrestling logic. We never saw it coming. Yeah, this is his first heel turn. Honestly, I think he stays heel until he leaves the company a couple years later. He stays with the company a while, and he stays in the $1 Million Corporation for a while, and it's just never really does anything. But
again, when he comes back, he has a pretty decent feud with. Actually, he came back and had a feud with Eminem.
Miz and Morrison.
No, Morrison and Johnny Nitro. It was when Melina. Melina, Nitro,
Morrison.
and he was still Nitro at that point. Mercury, Joey Mercury.
Oh, that's right.
When they were a tag team.
Oh,
and they all had the.
So Johnny Nitro.
plans.
So even back then he was named after a show.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So he came back and had a feud with them. I don't remember who he picked up as a tag partner along the way.
I almost want to say it was like an MVP or something like that.
It was someone super weird.
Yeah, it was a weird pairing. I remember reading like Orlando Jones or something. Maybe I don't know.
No,
it was something weird.
Because he was gone. Jones was gone at that point because that was after the cabinet.
Oh. Anyways, yeah, Tatanka never really broke to the upper echelons of things, which seems about right. He never really felt like a main guy. I think the character felt a little too gimmicky, and he couldn't ever be bigger than the gimmick.
Matt Hardy was his tag partner.
Matt Hardy.
Yep.
Matt Hardy. Of all the people thrown into the lake of reincarnation, Tatanka would actually probably not be a bad one.
Truth.
All right.
Truth.
Then we have our second filler match between Razor and Diesel in the main event of the whole thing. It was the original rap is crap versus country music thing. It was Jeff Jarrett versus Mabel.
I did not watch this match. I had no interest in watching this match.
I also skipped through this match because I know it's bad.
All right. So moving on.
Cool. All right. Our first of two main event matches is actually the WWF Championship match in a steel cage. King of the Ring versus the champ.
Yeah, and it was the King of Hearts, Owen Hart.
Yes, it was.
Against Bret the Hitman Hart.
Indeed. They went a half hour in a cage.
It was so good.
There is few things better than a good Bret match, and a Bret and Owen match is amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like we say it every time we talk about anything that Owen was in.
Yeah.
Owen gone far too soon.
Oh, well, yes.
But could have very well been the next Bret through the 90s for WWF.
Oh, definitely. He definitely could have shifted things into that more light heavyweight cruiser style without going full into, like, without being a super smaller guy, because Owen was still a big guy. He was a bigger light heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, he was bigger than Shawn.
Yeah.
But we talked about it last week with some people who could elevate others whenever they were in a match together and bring them up to their level. Owen was that guy.
And Bret was that guy.
Right. So when you have two guys doing that together in one match, like 5-star match as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. There were few things Owen wasn't capable of doing. He could be goofy and comedic. He could be super intense and super serious. And he was a great worker.
Yeah.
Now I'm just sad.
Well, the other thing, too, is that this match kind of showed that Owen... We knew Bret could have multiple different match types.
Yeah.
That he could carry himself through a cage match, a submission match, pretty much anything.
Like a straight wrestling match, a straight fight match. Yeah. Bret could have many different matches.
This showed that Owen could do the exact same thing.
Right. Because, Owen had the high-flying stuff, but he also did have the technical stuff. he never really like dirtied it up, but he almost kind of did the fighting in a high flyish kind of way. He had his strikes still.
Yeah. He to me, the closest thing that I could liken him to nowadays would be Seth.
Yeah. That's a pretty good comparison. Is a smaller big guy.
Small-ish guy.
Yeah.
Because, again, neither of them by any means are small men.
Buddy Murphy.
Maybe.
I don't know how well Murphy can talk, honestly, yet.
He's okay.
Okay.
His accent kind of gets in his way a little bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
My only question with Murphy would be him getting those multiple match types. Because so far we've only seen him in tag matches and singles matches.
Okay, fair enough.
But to me, it's Owen and Seth. They're not small men. Standing next to me, they would both be big.
Right.
However, they could do stuff with the bigger guys.
Right. They're not the giants, though, on the card. They're not Nash. They're not Braun. They're not...
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to have seen a match with, like, Owen versus Brock.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Because if Seth versus Brock could be good, Owen versus Brock would be amazing.
I would have just loved to have seen Owen versus any number of guys today, but...
Did we ever get an Owen versus Kurt?
I don't believe so.
That would have been fun.
There may be one like on a random Raw or something that didn't, not like a pay-per-view style one.
That could have been a very fun match.
That could have been something big. All right.
So this is old school blue cage.
Yep, is the big blue cage.
They go for a half hour. They have surprisingly a lot of spots at the top of the cage.
Yeah, there is a lot of like superplexes and dragging down. They had a few. That's the thing I hate about the cage matches, and I don't know if it was better or worse than the big blue cage where you ended up dragging someone over. The nice thing about the blue cage was you could reach through it and grab someone, which I feel was a little less trite than having to be dead in the ring and suddenly pop up and reach over and stop someone.
Yeah, I like the newer cages better because they have the kind of platformish thing at the top. You know, where like the...
Yeah, like they have like the girder up there at the top.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit better to me when I see these spots at the top of the cage.
My problem is so many times, though, that with these cages, with the current cage, you end up like grabbing someone by the hair and they're like dangling, no feet on the cage. Like that spot where they're just dangling from the top. It's like, cool, they have you by the hair. Let go. Just let go. You'll have a 6 to 8 foot fall between your feet and the floor.
And a chunk of hair missing.
You'll win the match.
Right.
Cool. Let go. Just let go. Why don't you let go? You'll win.
To me, one of the things that I've always hated about cage matches, no matter what era they're in, is the over the top thing. Just try to go out the door.
Right. And I wish they just don't have a door. Like,
see, I'm saying
I know you're saying the opposite. But, well,
only have a door.
Originally cages you couldn't escape. That was the point. Was
right.
They're keeping you in. You can't escape. The point was you could not escape.
Right.
Like if you tried to go over it, nothing
you couldn't escape. Other people couldn't get in. It was meant to take, the going back to a Diesel Razor. It was meant to keep the Shawn Michaels-ish people out.
Right. The thing I liked about the big blue cage was at least what you could do is if they were climbing up the cage, get over the cage and start climbing down. You don't have to go all the way up and over to grab them. You could get up and like grab them through the cage and then kind of like work them back up and over. Which,
yeah, I get that.
I like that a lot. I hate the spot of giant move, guy is dead in the ring, other guy's climbing. Oops, suddenly I'm fine. Back up and over. Stop the guy. Like,
yeah.
It's like how when you have like, a last man standing match, 7, 8, still dead. 9, still dead. Oh, now I'm alive.
Right.
Like
right as soon as somebody's about to say 10, all of a sudden they pop back up.
Right. It goes from 0 to 100 too quickly.
Yeah, there's no real happy median with that. There could be, but they haven't found it
No,
yet.
it's a lot tougher in the cage because you have the problem, like ladder matches have the same problem where
somebody's about to grab the belt.
Or you either have to have someone go from dead to perfectly fine in no time flat, or you have to have someone conveniently forget how to climb something. How do I climb a ladder? Huh.
Where it takes them 20 minutes to
okay, I got one foot up. I better make sure it's stable. Okay, next foot. Oh, it's still a little wiggly. Huh, I better really think if I really want to make this next step. Well, that's why I win the match, and there's the belt. I guess I do. Okay, one more step. Let me ponder about life again. Do I really want to do this?
While this is happening, the guy that was dead outside for 20 minutes at the beginning of the match now suddenly runs in and climbs up the other side.
Exactly.
And meets you eye to eye at the title belt.
Yeah, and I, oh my goodness, how that? Yeah, it's that's what I dislike about ladder and cage matches is those little bits that reveal things way too much, and it's just.
Well, I mean, with ladder matches, it's a little different because I could see how a flimsy ladder standing in the middle of a bouncy ring could be a little goofy trying to climb up, but don't have me climb up super slow. Let it shake a little bit as I'm going up and being like, oh, shit.
The other problem is it's either the slow climb or the I climbed up 3 rungs, let me reach for it. Oh, I can't. Oh, I almost up. Nope. Can't quite reach. No. Climb up another damn step, idiot. You're on the 3rd out of 8 rungs.
Right.
Stop. Like, you can't. Guess what? You're not Kevin Nash. You can't reach it after going up 2 steps. Hey, Jericho, we get it. You're short. You got to get up on the 6th or higher rung. Stop reaching at the 4th. We're not buying it. We know you're just waiting for the other guy to get up at this point. The ladder match and the cage match require such an emphasis on that timing aspect that it's so hard to mask that you're waiting.
Right. And there's a lot of points where people haven't managed to figure out the timing just yet.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I don't know if there is even a good like that medium is so tough to find. I don't know if you can really legitimately find it. So
yeah, it's just
it always ends up looking a little exposing. Back to Brett and Owen. They didn't really seem to have too many of those issues.
No. Everything that Brett and Owen did was super believable.
Yeah, and their timing is always just so spot on.
Yep.
There's one where Owen's going to try to crawl out of the cage, and Brett just makes like a diving leap and grabs his foot at the last second. But he just dives, grabs his foot, and boom, that's it. Like, just did exactly what he's looking to do. Could have messed that up 900 different ways. Didn't. Nailed it.
Yep. Or even when at the points where there was one specific one where Brett pulls Owen back over, and Owen from the side of the cage like flops back into the ring, has like a 2-foot drop, and then Brett, who's standing next to the cage and just pulled him in, hits his kind of like defeated feel and like slips and falls in between the cage and the ropes and stays there for a minute.
Yeah.
It was just more believable and like, holy shit, these guys are actually beating the hell out of each other.
Right. I think what they need to do to make like those cage climbing spots be a little bit more believable is actually bring in a little bit of the New Japan Strong style, because that's what you're supposed to be showing is like your fighting spirit. The problem is when you're dead and you make this last second lunge to stop the escape and then just immediately transition right back on to being on offense.
Right.
What you need to do is stop the guy and then go back to selling for a bit and be like, oh, that took so much out of him. Like, he's not trying to get out of the cage now, because that's what usually ends up happening is you then start trading escape spots until you just hit a real big high spot, and then you're both dead again for a while.
Yeah, and then you have the exact same thing where now somebody's trying to climb up, and we start the cycle all over.
Exactly. They need to stop trading escapes. That can happen maybe once early on. When you start getting later, then you need to be more strong style where, hey, I'm using everything I got left in me to stop him, and then I can't go on offense. I can't even try to get out of this thing. I'm whipped. Because there's a bit of a lost art of selling when something hasn't been done to you.
Right.
Because okay, no, he did the big move to me. I muscled through it for a second because we've all like whacked our shin off something and been like, I'm okay for a second. Let me finish. Okay. Let me set this big thing down. I don't want to drop this package I was carrying.
Right. Now
okay.
It's like,
my ankle.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll go Peter Griffin and go, for 20 minutes.
Yep. See, and it is a bit of a lost art nowadays. However, there are some people who still do it. And I know you hate when I talk about him as a seller. Dolph does stuff like that.
See, he does, but the problem is he does it with so much other stuff that I feel like it doesn't really come through as much. So it's a drop in the ocean. Like,
true.
This might be you have found the perfect temperature spot in the water. It happens to be in the ocean. The problem is it's in the middle of the ocean, and I can't get to it because there's so much water around it. So, anyways. Match between Brett and Owen ends. They both go over the top of the cage. They're fighting on the way down. Brett kind of knocks Owen's leg into the bars in the cage, which another amazing thing you could do with the old school cage.
Right. And at that point, Brett also grabs Owen's head and like smashes it in, so he falls.
Yeah, he's hanging upside down by his leg in the cage. Great visual. He's kind of like almost flailing, trying to get himself unstuck, trying to just flail to touch the floor to count as anything. Brett climbs right down past him, hits the ground, keeps his title.
And then the whole Jim Neidhart comes and clobbers the back of
Neidhart and the rest of the Harts were all sitting in the front row. Neidhart decides to clobber Davey Boy from behind, which clips Davey Boy and his wife.
Which, did you see his wife when she went over the barricade?
No.
Oh, she went over, but wasn't hanging on or did a wrestler's spot. She didn't put her other hand out to catch herself.
She just thudded.
Both hands were on the guardrail.
Rail.
She went over top like a child and just head first into the guardrail and then flops over.
Yeah.
Like, and you could tell the ref was more worried about her than the rest of the match because he kept going over to her and checking on her.
Yeah, well, as well they should, because she's not the professional wrestler in the family. Everyone else was.
Right.
So, yeah, we end up with Owen and Jim Neidhart in the cage, kind of having a standoff against everyone else. All the other Harts trying to climb in. They're fighting them off, and the family is not any better off for this match having happened.
No, they're not.
In the next year, we would get the Hart Foundation reuniting, though.
Yep.
Which the long-term storytelling between Brett and Owen was just fantastic.
Yeah, if you want an education on how to do a long-term booking,
yeah,
Brett and Owen.
It's so good. Like, they start off happy as can be. Owen starts getting jealous. Eventually, the whole turn. And the thing is, Owen still has a bit of a point the entire time, which is that's going to be your best villain. That's going to be your best heel.
Right.
Is
because he makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I have a point here. Like, you just got to see it from my angle. I got a point. Yeah. I'm not wrong here. Listen, cool. I'm not wrong. Nothing you can do will ever convince me I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually isn't wrong.
Right. I mean, look at the Marvel villains. All of the really good ones in the movies are the ones who make sense.
Right. The ones that...
Like Thanos, as deranged as what he was trying to do was, it made sense.
Right. Like, he had a cause he believed in, and he had a logical plan, and whether or not you agree with the premise, the actions stemming from that premise all logically followed.
Yeah.
Magneto. You may or may not agree with his premise.
Or his methods of getting to his goal.
Right. But he has a cause he firmly believes in. It's on some level a moral cause. Like Thanos. On some level, it was a moral cause.
Yeah.
Not well shown in the movies, but Dr. Doom, he typically actually does care about his people in a way.
But again, it's one of those where the villain made sense. They knew what they were trying to do, and to some point, the fans could agree with him.
Right. It was one of those things where you're like 3 steps too far down that path for me, but I understand. I can see how you got on that path.
Right.
I think there's mistakes you made here, here, and here. However, I still see that path, and that path, given your viewpoint instead of my viewpoint, maybe I could go down that path too. Who knows?
Right.
Type thing. You always need a hint of that in a great villain, because...
And that was Owen.
Yeah. Owen legitimately felt like he was jaded. He wasn't giving fair opportunities. Like, that his family did not care as much about him as they did his older brother. Like,
yeah,
that's tough to argue with on that one. So, okay, final main event of the evening: Undertaker versus Undertaker.
Should not have been the main event.
It had to be, though.
Overall, I did not enjoy this because fake Undertaker was not good.
No, Brian Lee was not great in this. So the pageantry surrounding it was cool.
So real Undertaker's entrance after Paul Bearer pops the top off of the giant
urn and there's a spotlight coming out of it. Yeah.
That was really cool.
Right, especially because they had just a little bit of smoke in the arena, so it looked like it was swirling around the light. It looked like there was spirits swirling around.
It looked like he actually let the soul of the Undertaker out of the urn so that the real Undertaker could show up.
Yes.
The fact that they brought down the casket too.
Yep, the giant casket, and then opened it up and showed it was empty.
Yeah.
And then opened it up and he was in there. Or no, he walked out. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, he walked out.
I thought that's what they should have done. They didn't.
That would have been a lot cooler.
Yes.
Have him open the casket, show that
it's
there's
empty.
nothing in there, close it. Paul Bearer opens up the urn, does the whole flashing light thing.
Yeah.
They open up the casket. Whoop, there's Undertaker.
Yeah, they wanted him to do the 9-minute slow walkout, which...
The fact that we had 2 of those was really bothersome.
That is why I hated The Undertaker. Because you took 45 minutes getting to the ring for a 2-minute match. Stop it. I don't like that. It bothered me. It's like, okay, so after you see that once, you're set. We had it twice here, and you had it in pretty much every Undertaker pay-per-view match for a long time.
Yeah.
It's too much.
That's why I didn't mind Ministry Undertaker, because he managed to walk to the ring at a normal pace.
Right, so...
And an American Badass Undertaker actually got there quicker because of the motorcycle.
Yeah, that was fine. Had some sweet, I can't remember, Limp Bizkit.
Yes.
Yes. Got some rolling. Nice. Anyways, so Brian Lee, the fake Undertaker, looked like a great fake Undertaker right up until the second you put him next to the actual Undertaker.
Where he was staring at the Undertaker's chin.
Yeah. As we said earlier, he was a solid 3 inches shorter. And it showed. It looked like mini-me.
It made the visual a little awkward.
Yep.
I mean, this would have been a great point if Kane was around for a fake Undertaker.
So I was actually surprised. I didn't realize that they actually had Brian Lee. I don't know if they were fake or what, but their tattoos almost lined up as well.
Yeah, they were super fake.
Super
fake. Yeah, because later on when he's chains, he doesn't have them.
Oh. Yeah. All right then. So the problem was, clearly Brian Lee was trying to imitate The Undertaker in all of his mannerisms and everything, but they just didn't look as good once you actually see Mark out there doing them.
Right. So Undertaker's got that kind of throat chop.
Yeah, that little thrust.
The one that Kane still does, where he kind of leans his left shoulder back and hits his bicep.
Yeah, it's like an uppercut
with an open
hand.
palm.
Yeah, it's an open hand uppercut, like poke to the neck.
Yeah, and Undertaker does it very smoothly. It looks like it could actually hurt a little bit.
Well, it looked like it would be very uncomfortable to get hit in the throat by someone doing that.
Right. Kane does it very smoothly as well.
Yep.
Fake Undertaker, however, it's almost like... So, try to follow me with this one. So with Muay Thai, when you're supposed to throw a Muay Thai kick, there's no pauses in your motion. Your leg starts behind you, and you just...
Whip it around, yeah.
Yes. Whereas in Taekwondo, it's all about positioning. You start off in your stance. you turn to the side so that your leg's out, and then a quick snap with your leg.
God, yeah.
That's what Brian Lee's moves looked like. Like he was posing himself through the moves.
Right. It was clear that he was thinking about doing them rather than just doing them.
Right. They didn't look natural. They didn't flow.
Yeah. And that was the biggest thing about Brian Lee in this the whole time was, you know, they show a few clips before him of the fake Undertaker and stuff, and you can go back and find some other clips of him, and it looks fine until it's there next to the original, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah, this clearly isn't the same guy.
Yeah, nope, this ain't it.
Yeah. Even his choke slam attempts were a little awkward.
And again, back to how we were saying about Razor never looking like Scott Hall doesn't look big next to Kevin Nash and the other bigger guys. He looks just like a normal sized guy. That's what happened here was the fact that there was a size difference made him look real small suddenly.
And it wasn't even like a slightly noticeable size difference. Like, oh, he's a tad bit shorter.
It's like, oh, they're not quite the same.
It was that other guy's a lot bigger.
It literally, as soon as the actual Undertaker came out and stood against him, it was like DiBiase went to the dollar store and got a dollar store G.I. Joe, and then someone else brought the real G.I. Joe out.
Yeah.
It was like, that one doesn't bend at the knees or at the elbows. That one doesn't do things properly, and now that it's next to the real one, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. The match itself was such classical slow plotting Undertaker. Again,
I can from watching this match, I can understand why you didn't like the Undertaker.
And much like watching more recent 2000s Undertaker, watching that, I'm like, oh, I get why you did like him. Like watching him go against like CM Punk or someone, it's like, oh, well, this makes sense.
Right. Like if he was doing
that match he had that we reviewed on SummerSlam against Ray.
Really good.
Really, really good.
Like
that totally makes sense.
Now you see why me growing up watching Undertaker during that time frame, I'm like, this guy's awesome.
And now you see Undertaker from 1994, me going, this guy's boring as shit.
Yes, and I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's sad and unfortunate, but yeah, the guy.
However,
he definitely aged really well.
At least he was able to adjust himself to the point where he could have those style matches later on in his career.
Right. It's definitely a giant credit to Mark Calloway, the athlete, that he figured out how to bring back some of those elements and do them in a way that still worked in a modern setting.
He was still the Undertaker. However, he was an evolved form of the Undertaker.
Right. And which is really smart because I'm sure this original style was a lot easier on the body, being a lot more slow, methodical, plotting, not a lot of big giant
That's
power
probably
moves.
why his career has lasted 20 plus years.
Probably. It made a lot more sense. And, it kind of makes more sense to go back to that when you get older, too. So,
right. If he were to go back to being this 1994 Undertaker now, which, I mean, he kind of has, he's not doing...
No, he kept the good striking from 2000s and some of the cool submission holds and stuff.
But he's not doing the off of the ropes diving front flip clothesline that he used to do.
Yeah. Which... probably a good thing he don't do that no more.
Right.
He damn near killed himself a few too many times.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where looking at the career of The Undertaker, he honestly, he may have the perfect wrestling career.
It's way up there. I don't know if I loved the Undertaker gimmick up until... we really started hitting Ministry of Darkness up until Kane showed up. Up until then, it was a little too gimmicky still. And it actually really took Kane, I think, to add a little bit of humanity into it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Hey, we might get to talking about something like that in a month or so. But you're not wrong. He definitely... He had a real sharp initial incline, though, because he won the title within like a year... I think within a year, possibly within 2 years of being in the company.
Right. But it's one of those where he from 91 when he debuts until 96-ish when Kane shows up, there's a slow, gradual incline. Then we go from Kane to Ministry. There's a sharp incline there.
Yep. Then we have some interesting tag era type stuff where the Brothers of Destruction teaming with Austin at one point, I think.
Yeah, he's the American Badass at this point.
Yeah.
Like kind of plateaus. Then we hit the 2000s Undertaker.
Yeah.
After he's buried alive and comes back as the Dead Man.
Yeah.
Sharp incline there.
Yeah. And, it's petering out at this point, but
the guy's also been around since 1985.
Right. It's one of those things where he built up such a legacy and so much goodwill with the fans that it's like, yeah, it's a little sad, but hey, like we still like you. Like,
I mean, him with Roman against Shane and Drew, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the Undertaker that I need for him to retire.
Right. And that's a perfect spot for him. If you want to come out and have him bury someone one more last time, fine. Probably need to stay in a tag match with a younger partner against younger guys at this point.
Right.
Don't do Brothers of Destruction against DX.
No. I mean, if his last match is a Goldberg match, cool.
Yeah, even if it's their ugly Saudi Arabia match, it's unfortunate, but...
No, I mean... the style of Goldberg match.
No.
Undertaker comes out, has a max 5 to 7 minute match against someone that...
I won't even do that. I'd be like a 3 to 5.
Right, but like max.
Yeah.
We have him chokeslam somebody, do a couple of his spots like the Snake Eyes or the old school stuff like that. Then he tombstones somebody, walks off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. You almost kind of... I would have his last thing, honestly, not even be a match. Almost be like... Be more of a showdown with someone.
What Raw 25 should have been when he showed up?
I would have it be a physical showdown with someone else big, where you need to have something... I almost literally want to see it like a cowboy shootout where like both guys draw, both like two shots ring out, both guys kind of like go down.
They throw a couple punches at each other and
like have it be almost against like not Braun, but someone like Braun. Braun, like they get in a brawl. Braun picks him up, hits the power slam. He sits up, tombstones him, walks off, but then kind of like
drops down to a knee at the stage.
Yeah, you see him kind of like collapse through the curtain, which I think they already had him do that at one point in time against someone at Mania, but like that's the thing where he needs to almost go out like a gunslinger, where he kind of goes out and at that last moment you see him kind of slump over and you're like, wait, did he ride off okay? Is he okay?
Right.
And then you just don't know. Yeah. That's done. But, all right, so SummerSlam 94, overall okay.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those older 90s pay-per-views where I was like...
cringing through the whole thing?
Fuck, I'm not getting those 2.5 hours back.
No, there were some low points to this, Jeff Jarrett, Mabel, but there were enough high points that...
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a match that I would say to go and watch off of this, 110% Brett versus Owen.
Almost any time Brett and Owen are in the ring together, you should watch that match.
Also, if you want to see, again, a Hoss-off, go and watch Razor versus Diesel.
Yep, that was a really good match, too.
Overall, it was a consistently B-plus pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was above average. The Head Shrinkers tag match to open was fine.
It was a good opener.
I thought the women's match showed... It
promise.
made me want more, yeah.
It showed promise.
Yes. And, there's a few stinkers on there, but, the good stuff way outshined the bad stuff.
Almost every pay-per-view has a few stinkers on there.
It does, so.
But the point with this one is that there was more good spots than stinkers.
Oh, yes, by far. And not to mention, that cage match was a half hour of greatness.
Yeah.
So, anything else to talk about this week? Want to talk about any of the AEW stuff happening, or do we want to wait until All Out actually happens?
Well, I mean, aside from us not getting that sweet payoff of Mox versus Kenny.
Yeah. So, John Moxley, MRSA infection, has to go get that taken care of.
Yeah, he's MRSA in his elbow. Or he's something with the elbow along with the infection.
Yeah.
Like, it's a twofold thing.
So, yeah, he'll be good to go soon, but does have to pull out of All Out.
He'll be good to go by the time the first episode shows up.
Yes.
So instead we're getting Kenny versus Pac, which, okay, I'm not mad that I'm getting that, but
It's one of those things where if that was what we had built to, that would have been fine. The problem is I don't think Pac is as good as Moxley. Or at least I don't care as much. And
they should have gone one of two ways with this. Either give Kenny somebody else or not have him in a match, which I know that sounds absurd for their big pay-per-view, but don't have Kenny in it. And put Pac into the Hangman Page Chris Jericho match.
That would have been, yes.
Because now we're getting that sweet payoff for Hangman and Pac that we didn't get.
Yep.
Or put Kenny in that title match, and we're getting the payoff of Jericho and Kenny for a third time, which I'll never not be okay with.
Right. The biggest thing is when you're really plugging a match and it suddenly can't happen, you're supposed to give the fans more. Pac doesn't feel like giving us more because there's no build-up to Pac versus Kenny. I'm sure it'll be a fine match.
Right. Like I said,
but there's no story there like there was for Mox.
Like I said, I'm not upset that I'm getting that, but it could have been better.
Right. And we kind of needed this match for Kenny to start getting back on the right track because he's been coming out on the wrong side of things lately.
Very true.
And we need Kenny to be the Kenny of New Japan, of a year ago in New Japan.
We need him to be the cleaner again.
Yes. We don't have him doing that right now. It don't feel good. And if you want me invested in this company, you need to do better than that because I'm having a whole lot of problems with this company already, and I'm not liking it, and that shouldn't be where it is. I want them to do better, but I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. They also announced a women's match. I don't remember. It's two more Joshi girls. Looks like it'll be fun. They're also teasing the first ever tag team champs will be crowned on one of their TV shows.
Yeah, either the first or second show.
And on the third show, it's going to be the first ever women's champion crowned.
Right, and I'm betting it's the second show for the tag champs because they have a tournament to get through.
Yes, and the tournament finals, I believe, are on the second show.
That would make sense, because otherwise, where's this tournament happening? It's not happening at All Out.
Part of it is.
Part of it is. Well,
it's not finishing it All Out.
They're having a match to skip the first round at All Out.
Right, and then I'm pretty sure
that implies that the first round ain't happening.
And the first episode, I'm pretty sure, is going to have most of the tournament.
Would probably have to. So, which is not actually the worst way of introducing.
I want to see the belts, though.
Yes.
If the tag belts or the women's belt look as good as their main belt,
that main belt is friggin' huge.
It's giant, but it's gorgeous.
All right, and then do we have anything in? Oh, go ahead.
One more for New Japan.
Okay.
Super J Cup started.
Yes.
We had the first round, and
apparently Will Ospreay Amazing Red was something to witness.
I saw highlights of it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go see the entire match.
Apparently this was basically Amazing Red's retirement match.
Yes, and
he had not wrestled for about 6 months before this.
And he specifically requested to face Will Ospreay.
Yeah, apparently it was.
I mean, Amazing Red. His name says it all. He's really good. Then you put him in against
Will Ospreay, who's
Will Ospreay of all people,
who's possibly the best lightweight out there right now.
Yeah,
he's up there.
He would have to be between him and Ricochet, but
Murphy
still between Ricochet and Ospreay.
All right.
But I don't know. Listening to Will Ospreay on ENC made him a little bit more human.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to clean up his...
He seemed a lot more likable.
Yeah, he had a problem with that. It seems like he's trying pretty hard to grow up and be like, hey, listen, I made some bad calls here and there. I may have been a bit of a dick. I'm trying.
Which, I mean,
That's
Drew Mack did the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's... You can't always ask much more out of people than that. You might hope for more, but, sometimes...
When you hit even the level of fame that he had in Japan at the tender young age of 22.
Yeah, it's tough not to be an asshole when you're 22.
Right. And now you're also kind of famous when you fly into a country.
Yeah, that'll mess someone up. That'll make you make some bad calls.
So it was definitely something to watch out. Next time we talk about it, next time we do this, I'll talk about that because I cannot wait to watch that match.
All right. Anything in WWE news that we need to...
Oh, Becky and Seth are engaged.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing.
Well, she's now the happiest man on earth.
Yeah. And it's going to...
And so is he.
Yeah. They're reading through some of the comments on Twitter and on Instagram. They just made me laugh.
So... Question, which of his last names do you think she'll take? His actual last name, his first wrestling last name, or his current wrestling last name? I think she should go for the first wrestling last name.
Black?
Yeah.
Becky Black?
Rebecca Black?
Wouldn't be
because
awful.
It's Friday?
Wouldn't be awful. I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
You really didn't want to realize what that bad joke was.
No, I realized what it was, but it's one of those where I can't ignore it. I don't know. Rebecca Rollins doesn't sound awful.
No, that's not awful. Becky Rollins?
She would have to be Rebecca Rollins.
Right, definitely would.
And then, what's his real last name?
I don't remember. I remember his name is Kobe something. It's weird.
It's because he's Hispanic. I know he's got Lopez.
Yes, Colby Lopez.
Rebecca Lopez? Becky Lopez?
That does not sound like a name she should have. That really does not sound like a name that Irish woman should have.
No, he should probably just change his last name to Colby Rollins.
Yeah, I would pull a Steve Austin with that one and just change the old last name to be the gimmick name. Because, which... I don't know. I feel like I should not be saying that someone shouldn't have that last name looking like that. That feels like that's not an appropriate thing to say, but I don't know. I don't feel like Rebecca Quinn should become Rebecca Lopez. That's a tough one. It's just weird.
Yeah, no.
Like, it feels off because it feels like she would then be appropriating the last name, which, I don't know. I'm clearly in no position to speak on that. I'm just saying it feels weird to me, but that's probably something more of my hang-up than an actual thing.
Right.
All right. On that fabulous rambling note, we done?
Yes.
All right. We're history.